Tonight, the Prime Minister's message from Europe. Canada can defend its own sovereignty.
Canada's strong. We can stand up for ourselves.
From Paris to London to Buckingham Palace, Mark Carney's trip to strengthen ties in a trade war. The Bay moves to liquidate all stores as early as tomorrow.
We've got a department store chain here which was vastly mismanaged.
Where does this leave more than 9,000 workers? An exclusive look inside a human smuggling investigation at the Canada-U.S. border.
Yeah, it looks like people going from the van to the truck.
2 families drowned trying to cross the St. Lawrence River as RCMP closed in. CBC News obtains the surveillance video that helped police lay charges.
From CBC News, this is The National with Heather Hiscox.
We begin with breaking news. Israel's military has launched a series of extensive airstrikes in Gaza, shattering the relative calm of a 2-month ceasefire. A warning, the pictures that are emerging, some of which we'll show you momentarily, are hard to watch. Gaza health officials are reporting at least 69 people have been killed. Children were among the seemingly endless stream of wounded arriving for treatment. Gaza officials say Israel hit dozens of locations. The first phase of the ceasefire expired 2 weeks ago. Israel says it's now targeting Hamas to pressure them to release hostages. Sasha Petrusik has just returned from Jerusalem, covering the war for CBC News. He's now back in Toronto. Sasha, what is the latest information coming in on this?
Well, Heather, it looks like what everybody had feared, certainly everybody in Gaza, has come to pass, that the ceasefire, always fragile, broke apart today. There were some hints. Israel has been saying all day long that it thinks Hamas was preparing to attack Israel again, even though it has not presented any proof of that. And later in the day, the Prime Minister's office said that the IDF, the Israeli military, has been preparing for these strikes all weekend, and that the pressure on Hamas, the military action, is only going to increase, and it may go beyond the strikes. It may go back to some sort of a ground war as well. So very much what many people had been fearing, not least the families of the hostages, 59 more that are held inside Gaza, and they have been pressuring the government, but apparently the group that has won out here are the hardliners in the government, the far-right parties who are coalition partners of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who have been pushing and pushing for months for exactly this.
So does this mean, Sasha, the end of the ceasefire?
Well, it does for the foreseeable future. As I say, the government is saying that this is only going to intensify. As for Hamas, it's saying that this was a unilateral act by Israel. It is going against what Israel itself agreed to work towards back in January, which was an extended ceasefire, an end to the war, and a release of all the hostages. Hamas has been saying that that is what it wanted, but Israel has been trying to come up with other ways of getting to that, has been frustrated, and that's led to the renewed fighting right now. And really, yes, the end of the ceasefire for the foreseeable future.
Sasha, thank you. Sasha Petrusik from Toronto tonight. The other top story, Mark Carney is wrapping up his first international trip as Prime Minister, meeting with historic European allies as ties with the United States fray. In quick succession, he sat down with the President of France, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and he met with the King. One of his goals, to bolster trade relationships overseas amid a trade war with the U.S. Carney telling reporters today that while Canada is hitting back, there is a limit to matching those tariffs dollar for dollar. The Prime Minister heads next to Canada's north to reassert this country's sovereignty in the Arctic. As Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton reports, sovereignty is a major theme of this trip.
This first stop on his first official trip came at the request of Canada's Prime Minister. Notre Dame Cathedral, rebuilt from the ashes, a symbol of resilience. And resilience is exactly what Mark Carney is trying to build in the face of economic and territorial threats coming from the U.S. So a return to Canada's European allies. Prime Minister Carney said he was not seeking for them to stand up for Canada, but some support still came, even as leaders walk a fine line as to not raise the ire of the U.S. president.
Parce que nous avons la conviction, et je crois que nous l'avons en commun, que nous sommes plus forts ensemble.
We are better when we are together, said French President Emmanuel Macron, better able to ensure our respected interests and our sovereignty.
Canada is a reliable, trustworthy, and strong partner of France, which shares our values and lives them through action during this age of economic and geopolitical crises.
Carney's next stop, Buckingham Palace. A moment of levity as Carney said his Order of Canada pin broke, kicking off his audience with King Charles, who has been under some pressure to strongly and publicly defend Canada. This meeting offering no such change in his position. The British Prime Minister, too, has been criticized for not saying more about Canada, but side by side with Carney, had this to say.
The relationship between our two countries has always been strong, to sovereign allies.
For his part, Carney says he does have the support of allies.
We have a steadfast defender in our sovereign.
This trip was also intended to send a signal to the United States that Canada can look elsewhere for trading partners as the trade war between the two countries continues. The Prime Minister warns that while counter tariffs imposed on U.S. products are important, the Canadian economy cannot support them forever.
There's a limit to matching these tariffs dollar for dollar, given the fact that our economy is a tenth the size of the United States.
Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will travel to Nunavut to talk about Canada's sovereignty in the Arctic. Heather.
How is this helping position the Prime Minister, Rosie, in advance of an expected election call?
It seems pretty clear that the ballot box question for the next election campaign will be who is best placed to take on Donald Trump. Mark Carney has yet to speak to the president, but we're told that call could happen as early as this week. But the Prime Minister also says that no real negotiations will happen until the president stops talking about Canada as the 51st state. Heather.
Thanks, Rosie. Our chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton. The Conservatives say if they win the next federal election, they won't just scrap the consumer carbon tax, but also the industrial carbon pricing scheme. As Kate McKenna reports, that has some worried about Canada's ability to meet its emissions targets.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says if he's elected, all carbon pricing is on the chopping block.
Today I am announcing that a common sense Canada First Conservative government will repeal the entire carbon tax, including the federal backstop that requires provinces impose industrial taxes.
Last week, Prime Minister Mark Carney said he'd scrap the consumer carbon price. Poilievre is going further, promising to axe the industrial levy too.
There will be no taxes on consumers, no taxes on Canadian industries.
Most provinces have their own systems. Poilievre says they can keep them if they want. He would also expand tax credits for clean tech.
While the Liberals tax businesses who use energy, Conservatives will cut taxes and boost incentives for those who bring down emissions. Carrot, not stick.
The more predictability we have and the more incentives we have is a good thing. But of course, it's all about the details.
Poilievre's plan found support in Alberta.
The carbon pricing put in place by the federal Liberal government has made our industry less competitive, which is, I think, bad for not only industry, but Albertans and Canadians.
But the Canadian Climate Institute says industrial carbon pricing is the biggest driver for reducing emissions.
If we got rid of the industrial carbon price today, our emissions would rise the equivalent of about 15 million cars.
I would say it's bad economic policy for Canada. It's terrible environmental policy.
Poilievre says his plan would make business more competitive amid Donald Trump's economic threats. But other trading partners are planning tariffs for countries without carbon pricing.
We are able to think one step ahead. We're able to go out and see the world. We're able to help Canadian companies prepare.
So if the industrial carbon price is scrapped, Canadian companies could simply be trading it for another kind of cost. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Police in Manitoba have identified a second set of human remains in a Winnipeg-area landfill as those of Mercedes Myron, an Indigenous woman murdered by a serial killer. 10 days ago, the remains of another woman, Morgan Harris, were also identified. Cameron McIntosh brings us the emotional reaction and explains why police are still searching the landfill.
It was never a certainty. Still, when the search began for the remains of 2 murdered Indigenous women at this Winnipeg-area landfill, there was optimism.
Mercedes Myron and Morgan Harris are coming home.
Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew confirming a second set of remains found last month are those of Mercedes Myron.
This is what we set out to do. I don't know if many of us knew the odds of success.
Myron and Morgan Harris were killed along with 2 other women by a serial killer targeting Indigenous women in 2022. Dismembered remains of Myron and Harris wound up in this Winnipeg-area landfill. Outraged, families and Indigenous leaders demanded a search. Winnipeg police and the previous provincial government refused, citing safety and cost among other concerns. It even became a provincial election issue. The image of their bodies buried in the trash putting a stark light on violence against Indigenous women. With a change in government, a search began last fall. 2 sets of remains were found last month.
If people would have just listened to us and, realized that they are there, this could have happened a lot sooner.
In a statement, the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, which is advocating for the families, said, "We hold up our hands in prayer and love for the Myron family." Harris's remains were identified earlier.
At the end of the day, we did the right thing. We did right by these families.
Kinew calls this a humanitarian effort.
I hope that Manitobans and Canadians believe that this reflects positively on our province and on our country.
The search will continue, as more remains, also believed to belong to Myron and Harris, are still being found. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Thousands of workers at the Bay are anxiously waiting tonight for word on whether a judge will allow the iconic Canadian company to liquidate all its stores. Hudson's Bay wants to start that process as soon as tomorrow. Nisha Patel spent the day in court as lawyers tried to sort out the shaky future of a retail giant.
I went straight up to the 3rd floor to see what was left, and there wasn't much.
Inside Hudson's Bay, shoppers say business seems to be winding down.
You'll notice a lot of beauty brands have already cleared out.
Liquidation sales at all 80 stores could start as soon as Tuesday, if an Ontario judge gives the go-ahead. The company needs to sell inventory. It's desperate for cash and nearly $1 billion in debt.
In a full liquidation, if all the stores are shut down and nothing gets acquired by another purchaser, then generally there's massive job loss, pension plan wind-ups.
There are more than 9,000 jobs at risk. Those who represent workers worry they won't be paid what they're owed.
It's a very difficult process for employees, and it can take many, many weeks before you get any final answers on how this will fully unfold.
Experts have predicted the demise of the Bay for years as the retailer failed to grow an online presence and sales failed to rebound from the pandemic.
I think we've got a department store chain here which was vastly mismanaged and underinvested, a lot of negligence, and I think that it's just fizzled out as an operation, unfortunately.
Some shoppers say they'll miss the Bay.
It makes me feel sad. I love the Hudson's Bay. I love shopping in there. Certainly an iconic heritage company in Canada.
But the company may still find a way to reinvent itself. It hopes to start the process of looking for a buyer for part or all of its business.
I would guess that you're probably not going to see a complete disappearance of the Hudson Bay brand from the marketplace, even though you may not see Hudson Bay department stores anymore.
Hudson's Bay will continue to honor gift cards. Shoppers have until April 6th to use them. The company has paused its loyalty program, though, so anyone still holding rewards points is out of luck. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Parts of Quebec are under flood watch tonight, with one city declaring a state of emergency. In Drummondville, about 100 kilometers east of Montreal, hundreds of buildings are now in an evacuation zone. Vanessa Lee shows us the damage and explains why it started so early this year.
Across Quebec, rivers are raging. Heavy rains and melting snow have contributed to rising water levels. In Drummondville, northeast of Montreal, firefighters evacuated those living along the Saint-François River, which is moving at about 5 times its average speed. Right now, 300 homes are at risk of flooding, including this man's. We had our house raised so this wouldn't happen. Hopefully, we're in the clear. It's stressful, he says. The city has declared a state of emergency. With conditions changing by the hour, officials say they don't know when people will be able to return home.
There's a risk tonight of having more water coming down from Sherbrooke, so we still don't know if there is going to be any water, and we still don't know how much. So that's why we tell them proactively to stay outside of the area.
In Nicolet, 45 minutes away, people were initially told not to drink the tap water after flooding shut down the local water treatment plant. A boil water advisory is now in effect for 13,000 people. Southeast of Quebec City, Beauceville saw a record high of 20 degrees Sunday. An ice jam formed in the heart of the small community, causing the river to rapidly rise and burst its banks. It's not known how many homes have been damaged. Many parts of the province are prone to flooding, and this year with the unseasonably warm temperatures, experts say it's happening earlier.
We have also frozen condition on the ground. In other words, the runoff and the fact that the snow disappear, all the water go directly to the river without any possibility to go within the soil.
Quebecers hoping the worst has passed in this premature spring thaw. Vanessa Lee, CBC News, Montreal.
A U.S. judge called actions of the Trump administration possible defiance. Civil rights lawyers say it's on a collision course with the Constitution after flying hundreds of deportees to foreign prisons despite a court order to turn the planes around. As Katie Simpson reports, it's all under the authority of a controversial wartime law.
Allowing these planes to land in El Salvador with dozens of alleged gang members arrested in the U.S. A judge is set to decide whether it violated an American court order. The Trump administration aggressively standing by its actions.
The president reserves the right to exercise all necessary authorities to secure the homeland and to repel any invasion or incursion.
On Saturday, Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act to speed up the deportation of migrants with alleged ties to gangs. The 18th century wartime power is supposed to apply to governments attacking and invading the U.S.
They're using this poetic metaphor to claim that undocumented Venezuelan immigrants are somehow an invasion. That's not what an invasion. An invasion involves tanks and cannons.
Lawyers for some of the accused launched a legal challenge, with a judge quickly issuing a verbal order to pause the program and return planes with more than 250 deportees to the U.S. Trump's border czar dismissed the court's authority.
We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
And the White House tried to argue it didn't have to follow the verbal order and later stopped once a written directive was filed.
Well, there's actually questions about whether a verbal order carries the same weight as a legal order, as a written order.
Oh, it looks like blatant lawlessness. The administration knows that it's doing that.
This Georgetown lawyer says the Trump administration's actions are unprecedented.
That is contempt of court. And if it is not punished, it will mean that we are no longer a country of laws. It means that our Constitution is over. This is a hugely significant moment for Americans and for American history.
White House lawyers are fighting to have the judge in this case removed, refusing to explain in court why the flights weren't turned around. They have until noon Tuesday to provide details. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
New numbers show home sales fell last month as fears grow about the fallout from tariffs.
Everyone is scared, no one is certain, and no one knows what's coming next.
Could lower interest rates bring buyers back? 5 years after the pandemic forced schools to close, some kids are still feeling the impact.
Both of them are still behind, both of them are still struggling.
But what's the answer? And the BC man who finally returned a library book 6 decades late.
I had done a weak calculation of what 2 cents a day for 60-some years. I didn't like the answer at all.
We're back in 2.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
Drake's music label filed a motion today to dismiss his defamation lawsuit, which is based on this diss track by rap rival Kendrick Lamar. Drake accuses Universal Music of using the track, Not Like Us, to drive down his own popularity and reduce his negotiating power. Universal's new filing says Drake lost a rap battle that he provoked and then sued his own record label in a misguided attempt to salve his wounds. New numbers released today suggest Donald Trump's tariff turbulence has hit Canada's housing market. Instead of a forecasted surge in home sales for 2025, they tumbled in the month of February. Seasonally adjusted, they're down about 10% from the previous month, the steepest drop-off since interest rate hikes that began in 2022. As Yvette Brand reports today, prices are dropping as well.
Realtors say sales were heating up this January when buyers hit the brakes.
I myself have a number of buyers who are ready to go, looking at stuff, but they're just not ready to write an offer.
In February, seasonally adjusted home sales across the country fell by close to 10% from January. The national average selling price also dropped 3.3% from the same time last year. The declines were even sharper in Toronto, where sales fell by more than a quarter compared to February of last year.
Everyone is scared, no one is certain, and no one knows what's coming next.
With the U.S. repeatedly announcing new tariffs and Canada responding, the cross-border turbulence is creating uncertainty.
You were thinking about buying this year, and now you're concerned about whether or not you might have a job in the next 6 months.
Realtors say it feels like the pandemic all over again.
But there are high hopes for what I thought would be an early spring market, pulled ahead, based on all the pent-up demand for housing. And of course, consumer confidence got hammered by the Trump tariffs, and people got put back on their heels.
Buyers are bracing for how the trade war will affect Canadian businesses and jobs.
So it's really the fear factor that's keeping people out of the market now. It's not affordability, it's not interest rates, it's not the availability of homes, which has been a real issue for 15 years now.
But for those willing to brave uncertain times, economists say there may be good deals and Canadians may be getting bargaining power they haven't seen in years. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
We're learning new details of how two families, including a 16-month-old baby, drowned while crossing a river from Canada into the United States.
Okay, we found one, we found two.
Never before seen surveillance footage shows the family's last days.
Yeah, it looks like people going from the van to the truck,
And why it's so hard for police to build a case against human smugglers.
Oftentimes police are one step behind.
We don't need anything they have.
And as Mark Carney looks to Europe for security and trade, what's in it for Europe?
The single greatest risk to Canada has always been Canada alone in the world.
The National breaks down the story shaping our world next. This month marks 5 years since the school shut down due to COVID, and some kids are still struggling to recover. As Deanna Sumanak-Johnson shows tonight, they're missing more classes and some are falling behind.
Do you need some help?
The pandemic may be gone, but Catherine Korakakis and her family are still feeling the effects. Her 14 and 17-year-olds have tutors to catch up on key subjects like math and French.
We're spending probably close to $400 a week for the children to supplement, and there's no other option because it's still not caught up. Both of them are still behind. Both of them are still struggling.
I've issued a ministerial order under the Education Act to close all publicly funded schools from March.
5 years ago, schools across Canada began to shut their doors and pivot to online learning. School closures in Ontario, the longest in North America. These disruptions caused many students to fall behind. According to one assessment done at the end of the pandemic, students were behind by
about 70% of a school year in mathematics and 30% of a school year in reading.
That deficit is still being felt, according to this professor who researches long-term educational impacts of the pandemic.
We have to think about it not just in terms of learning losses, but we also have to think in terms of things like physical health, mental health, social emotional learning, sense of belonging to schools.
This researcher agrees and adds another issue.
And it's a big, big concern that starting with the pandemic, rates of absenteeism have gone way up in Canadian schools.
The reasons are not entirely clear, but she suspects heightened rates of student anxiety and mental health problems, as well as shifting views on sick days.
It used to be the good thing to do was to keep your kid home from school so that to protect society. So we saw a change in norms.
Their message to policymakers: invest money and resources to help out kids for whom the effects of the pandemic persist half a decade later. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. With trade tensions high and unrelenting U.S. rhetoric over Canada's sovereignty and security, is it time to pursue new alliances across the Atlantic?
The single greatest risk to Canada has always been Canada alone in the world.
But first,
the door is opening, they're coming out.
exclusive new details of a cross-border human smuggling operation that turned deadly along the St. Lawrence River 2 years ago. We'll break down the timeline of the investigation and two families' final days captured on police surveillance video. Jorge Barrera takes us inside the mechanics behind the fatal March 2023 river crossing and the challenges in stopping smuggling operations like it.
This is a human smuggling operation caught on security video,
the door is opening,
and police surveillance cameras.
2 males, 2 females.
Capturing the final days of two families before they drown on a cross-border river run.
It was very traumatic to see that many deceased.
Human smuggling is a major problem. You want to get the criminals. That takes time and resources.
A tragedy experts blame on a system that can put law enforcement a step behind.
This is absolutely disgusting to see where we're at, and the end product being dead families.
This is the story of how a human smuggling network sent two families to their deaths, even as the RCMP closed in to take them down. The St. Lawrence River flows over and just north of the Canada-US border here, where smuggling runs spirit people from riverbank to riverbank through Akwesasne, a Haudenosaunee community. The border runs through this territory, creating a jurisdictional tangle exploited by smugglers for decades. So, to take down the heads of these networks, the RCMP launched Project Octopus in July 2022. CBC News has obtained the inner workings of that investigation,
Tailgate open on the van, I'm videoing it.
including security and surveillance video footage, catching suspected human smugglers trying to move over 100 migrants across the border.
Yeah, it looks like people going from the van to the truck, van to the truck.
This is valuable evidence Project Octopus will need to build a conspiracy case to prove this network is smuggling people for profit.
You can start your investigation with mere suspicion, but to get to the point of arrest, reasonable and probable grounds, is quite a high burden.
Kelly Sundberg is a criminologist in Calgary and a former border officer.
We have to remember, in order for a crime to be committed, you must prove knowledge and intent.
So that's what the RCMP set out to do.
Yeah, confirm they're loading up there, Chris.
Okay, we got reverse action.
Tracking, surveilling, watching for months. January 2nd, 2023, a big break. This smuggling run is caught on U.S. Border Patrol video. You see the boat hug the Canadian shore before jetting across to the U.S. 8 Indian nationals are arrested shortly after making landfall, and they're brought in for questioning the next morning.
You understand you entered the United States illegally last night?
This woman tells officers she was studying in Canada and wanted to go to the U.S. on vacation.
Do you have any contact with the people that set it up?
More questions follow, and then a valuable clue.
How do you know the house owner was Sri Lankan?
I don't know. The people in the house, they told that he's Sri Lankan.
That tip about the Sri Lankan turns out to be huge, and it leads investigators to this man, Thesson Garrison Rasaya, a convicted human smuggler on house arrest. That's him talking to his suspected accomplice and driver there in the gray van, Joel Portillo.
Portillo is still in the driver's seat?
In February, the investigation ramps up. Police secretly attach a tracker to Portillo's van. It shows him repeatedly at this Cornwall waterside parking lot. On this night, 5 migrants board a boat and head off towards the U.S., never to be seen again. No matter how suspicious this all looks on the surface, at this point it's just people getting drives and boat rides. Remember, police have to show this network was involved in a conspiracy. It's not an easy charge to prove.
You have to have evidence, so documents, production orders and warrants and collecting all this. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of hours of investigative work to get one arrest on this sort of charge.
It's now early March. Rasaya is still on house arrest, wearing an ankle monitor. But he's seen here taking out the garbage at an alleged stash house used to shelter migrants. And here again at a McDonald's on suspected smuggling business. Why aren't the police moving in and arresting this guy when he breaches his conditions?
You have to weigh the totality of the evidence and the circumstances of that case.
Vincent Foy is a retired RCMP superintendent in Cornwall. He can't speak to the specifics of this case, but says investigators often have to make tough decisions.
When you're dealing with major cases, you're looking at serious offenses. Breaching a probation or parole, I don't want to diminish that, but you got to look at the scope of the investigation. If you charge someone right away, you could compromise the integrity of the investigation moving forward.
It's now mid-March, and the tragic set of events is about to unfold. Security cameras record a family of 4 arriving at the Montreal airport. We now know they were father Pravinbhai Chowdhury, mother Dakshaben, and their adult children Meet Kumar and Vidiben. Portillo picks them up and takes them to this convenience store east of Cornwall.
The door is opening. They're coming out.
Where investigators are watching.
2 males, 2 females.
They follow them to this motel.
Okay, getting out.
Where police video captures the family for the last time. Days later, Portillo's at a different motel with a different family. Investigators would later learn is Florine Yordaki and his wife Christina, with their young Canadian-born children, 2-year-old Yeveline and 16-month-old Alien. The family's facing deportation, and on the night of March 29, 2023, they board this boat with the Chowdhurys. But they never make it. All 8 drown, plus the Akwesasne man who was piloting the boat, Casey Oakes.
In this general area is where a lot of them were found. I was just getting notified of, okay, we found 1, we found 2.
In Akwesasne, a frantic search. Isaac McDonald was fire chief and helped lead the recovery effort.
In this bay is one of 2 airboats that were used in the search operations.
McDonald was at the helm when 16-month-old Alien was pulled from the river.
My mind would go back to that night. And for some reason, my mind would try to place what the parents' agony and fright were floating in the water.
In the wake of this tragedy, police saw the photo of one of the families in the news. So they went back through their surveillance footage and found both families, a cruel twist after months of investigation.
Yeah, oftentimes police are one step behind criminals or the people being smuggled. To build a case, you often have to work backwards. Sometimes you may get some very crucial evidence that could have prevented something from happening, but you don't get it till days or weeks later.
But Sundberg argues that the system needs to change.
We have to rethink this, understanding that our law is such that it takes an officer hundreds of hours to investigate and take appropriate enforcement action, either be under the criminal code or whatever act they're in violation of.
Even after the deaths of the two families, Rosai and Portillo allegedly keep trying to smuggle people.
0830 on June 15th.
Police execute searches on both men's homes, seizing Rosai's cell phones, foreign cash, passports, and banking records.
Remember them in the news, the ones that died on the river?
A year later, they're formally charged with conspiracy to commit human smuggling into the U.S. Rosai remains in custody, while Portillo is out with strict conditions and must wear an ankle monitor. Both men are awaiting trial and refuse comment. One of the things we learned from experts and former officers who handled these types of investigations is that cross-border cooperation is key, especially between the RCMP and U.S. border authorities. Time and time again in this case, RCMP investigators gathered valuable information sitting in on U.S. Border Patrol questioning of people caught crossing from Canada into the U.S. Heather?
Are there any other investigations ongoing, Jorge, related to this tragedy?
Yes, there are two people from Akwesasne who are currently facing extradition to the U.S. to face charges in relation with the river deaths. Now, most of the evidence in these two cases comes from Canadian law enforcement. Now, these two cases are currently before the Mark Carney government. Heather?
Jorge, thank you. Jorge Barrera in Ottawa tonight. Next, Canada looks to Europe as Trump keeps up the threats on our sovereignty.
It only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have.
But will the Europeans step in to help? With Canada's long and complex alliance with the U.S. strained, is getting closer to Europe now an option? And what would Canada offer in return for new partners on trade and security?
We have all the energy necessary. We have all the fertilizers and potash necessary. We have all the uranium necessary, the hydroelectricity, the oil and gas.
In that push to shore up support among European allies, new Prime Minister Mark Carney met today with key partners in Paris and London. As Evan Dyer reports, this country's vast natural resources may be a critical bargaining chip.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. You're right now not in a very good position. You're gambling with World War III.
Mr. President, the 6 weeks since Donald Trump assumed office have come close to breaking the Western alliance. European leaders are warning their peoples that their continent is on its own and that it must prepare for war with Russia.
We're living in the most momentous and dangerous of times.
NATO isn't dead yet, at least on paper, but Donald Trump has taken an axe to confidence in Article 5, the commitment that all members will answer the call to defend any other member.
I said, if you're not going to pay your bills, we're not going to defend you.
It's in our interest that NATO survive. If it doesn't survive, we'll have to be prepared to think of other alternatives, and that probably will mean greater association with our European allies.
We are in an era of rearmament.
Europe is rearming on a massive scale. Countries are introducing mandatory military training, even talking about going nuclear. But where does that leave Canada?
It only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have.
Lately, Canadians are feeling threatened mainly by the United States. Europeans are not. So why would Europe invite Canada, with its small and understrength military, into a mutual defense pact? Visiting Canada for a G7 meeting, the EU and German foreign ministers sent a message of support.
Simply saying, we're there for you, I think is not going to cut it.
While Europeans feel threatened by Russia, Canadians lately feel more threatened by their former ally to the south. And countries facing different threats don't usually make natural allies.
The single greatest risk to Canada has always been Canada alone in the world. If we don't make a concrete offer to Europe and Europe goes it alone, and we don't have a partner that values us in Europe, our only option is to draw even closer to the United States than we already are.
But there are those in Europe who want to keep Canada inside the circle.
Canada is the only non-European country that's been invited to these meetings. Of course, it's a NATO ally, which makes sense, of course, because first and foremost, a sense of common values and an equal commitment, to upholding the international order, which is being severely strained at the moment.
If there is a security agreement, it should be even-handed, and it should encompass also the idea to defend Canada.
Canada may never be able to offer Europe much in the way of troop presence, but it has other things that Europe needs. Europe has been struggling to get off Russian oil and gas. It remains dependent on liquid natural gas from the US.
Europe is significantly open to energy extortion by the Trump administration.
It is much better to finance Canada and to receive Canadian fossil energy.
That requires Canada to build pipelines to get its oil and gas to the East Coast. The Europeans have also shown strong interest in Canadian renewables, but again, the infrastructure needs to be built.
Canada, I believe, has also the chance to offer cooperation in green energy, common investments, joint ventures of European investors and Canada could be also a way out.
Canadian food, oil and raw materials helped keep Britain afloat during the darkest days of the Second World War. Arms factories in Canada operated beyond the reach of German bombers.
If there's a conflict in Europe, Canada provides defense in depth. It's much harder to hit this country with missiles.
We've seen in Ukraine just how much of industry can be completely obliterated by these constant missile attacks. And although Europe is going to invest in air defense and ballistic missile defense, putting some more of that in Canada, I think that's a great idea that's worth looking at.
If I was a politician, I would be saying, every factory in Canada that's going out of business, we're going to figure out how we can make it part of the defense industrial complex and how we can provide for our European partners.
Well, first,
and Canadian politicians are starting to pitch this country as a valuable ally in search of a new alliance.
Why? Because we have all the energy necessary, we have all the fertilizers and potash necessary, we have all the uranium necessary, the hydroelectricity, the oil and gas, we have all the people, the critical minerals, the talent. I could go on and on and on.
An energy and natural resource superpower with a large landmass far removed from Russian missiles. A place where European allies can train their forces and safely manufacture arms and other critical technology. That could be the basis of a new grand bargain between Canada and Europe at a time when the US is no longer a neighbor that Canada can trust.
Evan, thank you very much. Coming up, how much does it cost to keep a library book for more than 60 years?
2 cents a day for 60-some years at 3%. I didn't like the answer at all.
Why he just didn't get around to returning it. That's next in Our Moment. You're looking here at the due date log inside a book borrowed from UBC's library. And if you look closely, and I mean very closely, you can see the last due date is listed there, May 10th, 1960. That's when Robert Murray was supposed to return that book, but he truly loved it. He didn't feel like returning it until this January. So tonight, the library book, 64 years overdue, makes Our Moment.
Well, I took it out in 1960, and I kept the book for 64 years. Didn't want to give it up too early. I might want to read it again. And it's called Camping and Woodcraft by Horace Kephart. And anyway, I returned the book.
I opened it, was very surprised Mr. Murray was returning the book after 60-some years. It was a group of us kind of amazed, and I haven't seen a book returned after this long. He also included a check for $100 because that would cover what he owed us.
I had done a weak calculation of what 2 cents a day for 60-some years at 3% would work out to, and I didn't like the answer at all.
All I can conclude is that that's one heck of a book.
But I kept the book because it had so much value to me. It's just absolutely packed with stuff that is still useful. Anyway, look what I have here. That book was reproduced by Double Bit Press. It's on Amazon. I am reading it again.
Robert returned the book late, but at least reportedly it was in pristine condition. Now, before you scurry to your own bookshelves, don't worry about having to pay overdue fees. Susan, UBC's librarian, says most libraries aren't going to fine you. They just want their books back. Thank you for being with us. I'm Heather Hiscox. Good night.